Okay, so we've got about 6 songs so far collected under an EP title on all the distributors,
Mhm.
Spotify and all of that. And I'm releasing a song every month until September, October, and then that EP is going to be wrapped up into an album.
Oh, wow.
Um, and we're on track, even though I've been delayed for quite some time, but I am now on track. So the inspiration behind those songs is various things. A bunch of the songs were written soon after the first album, when we didn't sign again with the record label to do the
Mhm.
second album, and then I kind of disbanded the project. Um, and and then some of the songs are new songs, like Letter to My Ex. That was probably the first single from
Mm.
the new material, and
Mhm.
that was about my divorce.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a good song. So yeah, and then another new one is What Kind of Love, and that was about the kind of very extreme low years I had after becoming a mother, and then
Mhm.
realizing that the marriage wasn't going to work, and at the same
Mhm.
time there was lockdown
Mhm.
and everything seemed quite bleak. So that song, even though that song is quite a sexy kind of up-tempo
Mhm.
track about sexual fantasies, it was written from the point of being really low and me just thinking, I can't imagine ever having another relationship. I don't
Mhm.
like what's happened to my body. I like even less what's happened to my brain from lack of sleep and
Yeah, of course.
premature twins and stuff.
Mm.
And so that song was like, I kind of just accepted at the time that all the excitement I was going to have in terms of a relationship or a physical relationship would have to be purely in my mind. So the
Mhm.
song is a little bit of a celebration and retreating into the power of one's imagination.
Mm.
So yeah, and then some of the other songs that are out now, like Queen of Spades and Bad, they were kind of written. They should have been the second Sohodolls album that should have come
Right.
out, you know, had we not disbanded after the first one, ribbed music for the Numb generation. So yeah, it's a mix, but it's still very much Sohodolls, electro, glam, rock, and some old school hip hop thrown in for good measure as well.
You can hurt me anymore. I saw the light. Thank you, goodbye. You can take your things. There'll be no one call. I saw the light. So thank you, goodbye. Wait, remember you said communicate. So
Yeah, I don't always manage what I want to achieve on a day by day or basis, but don't really have much choice. I'm quite grateful that I haven't lost drive or ambition, although it was on hold for a couple of years and suffered a few setbacks. It's quite intense. That's how I do it. So I've got quite a strict routine. Wake up, get them dressed to school, do homework.
Yeah.
Then I work out for an hour, and
Mm.
then I try to ignore the state that the house is in,
Oh, yeah.
which I have bet, sometimes when you're not looking forward to working on something, you do start tidying up, and then I have to be like, just do this in the evening. So yeah, so then I kind of like work intensely for about 3 or 4 hours, and
Mm.
then I have to switch back into parent mode.
Right.
Yeah, it's intense. I'm not sure sometimes, how long I can keep going at this pace,
Mm.
but I think if I keep on exercising regularly, then that should be fine. That should offset the stress
Yeah.
of it. But it's also good, it's good stress and it's bad stress. So yeah, I just keep going and I'll rest when I'm dead. That's kind of like my
Yes.
mantra. Yep, almost like every day a fan asks if we're going to tour again, and it's not a decision. We're not touring at the moment because we don't want to. It's just we have to get the album wrapped
Mm.
up,
Yeah.
and then there has to be a focal point for a tour. People don't just tour for the sake of it. They always tour because there's a single to sell or
Mhm.
an album to sell or to
Yeah.
flog. Um, so I've already been in touch with some live agents that do want to take us on the road when we're
Okay.
ready. So yeah, I do want to do it. Although, yeah, we toured. I think Sohodol's probably over toured before.
Mhm.
So it's not, and we've done festivals. We actually played Glastonbury, and yeah, they're
Wow.
not always like festivals are not super fun for bands because you don't get a proper sound check, especially if you're
Yeah.
quite fussy about sound.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so yes to touring, but Although I might sleep better on the road than I do at home. So now that I think about it, yeah, where do I start? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember once was it Chrissy Hind was saying she is taking her kids on tour, and I was just thinking,
Yeah.
that would be very cool.
I think it would be cool. I remember Gwen Stefani did it from No Doubt. She took her little ones on the road.
Yeah.
I think that'd be quite cool, but it would be even less relaxing. Well,
Yeah.
not that touring is relaxing, but yeah, it would be more intense. But then, yeah, we'll have to think about it logistically.
Yeah, I know. I always wondered how they did it, but I was like, it would be very. But mind you, if I was a kid and my mother was a rock star, I think I'd be like, yeah, I just want to hang out here
Yeah.
rather than go to school. Who would want to do that?
Exactly. We'd have to probably get a tutor or something.
Yeah,
That'd be quite fancy, wouldn't it? Yeah. They could do homework on the tour bus.
Yeah.
And have to invest in those proper kind of like
Oh yes. Yeah,
ear defenders. I don't know if they're very cool.
Yeah. No, I look forward to seeing that. It's really cool. Yeah, because the song that you did, I think was it the last one you released, Napoleon Baby?
Yeah.
That was very much about, trying to keep the ambition and keep going with the ambition while lots of other things are going on.
It was very much about that. And it was also about me kind of wondering, like my friends, a few of them, they got settled down much earlier than I did. And then, and I keep wondering if ambition has kind of cost me relationships and a more settled life. I mean, it's definitely cost me better job opportunities. So that's for sure. A lot of, dry or drought years, while you're kind of trying to create stuff. And then a few things that, a lot of people don't hear about, the deals that didn't go well. And there's been a couple. Might save those for the book.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what Napoleon Baby is about. And I've heard that apparently the Emperor Napoleon had an inferiority complex over his height, but I don't know if the height thing has been proved or not. But yeah, I just kind of wanted that little, and also the word Napoleon was so fun to sing out loud.
Yeah.
Really good word. It was really fun.
Yeah, definitely. It you really remember the title, because it's a cool word.
I'm glad you like it. I started that song in 2011. I don't know if you know the mixer Alan Moulder, who's done all the big kind of like massive bands like U2, Depeche Mode, Smashing Pumpkins, Foals, but he lent me his broom cupboard that was attached to his studio. And I wrote that there in the broom cupboard, and I called it the Magic Space because I also wrote about 3 of Nicola Roberts' tracks in that broom cupboard, all in the space of 3 weeks. It was amazing. There was no oxygen. Maybe that was the trick. So I wrote Gladiator there for Nicola Roberts.
Do you still see your queen of hearts?
So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the most prolific writer. I'm quite kind of concept based. I have a folder on my phone where if I'm talking to people or watching something and I hear a cool phrase, I'll put it down into my lyric bank. And then I'm probably now this week I'll have a whole week of doing music, but the last kind of 3 or 4 weeks I had to concentrate on doing video content and getting the merchandise shop up and running, decide on logos, been through like 7 graphic designers. It's quite hard because I'm really not a graphics person. It's actually really hard for 2 creatives to talk to each other that are in different fields. It's quite interesting actually. So, because we use a different language, I think, like musicians or songwriters and that, but finally nailed it with a lovely girl called Jan and another girl called Ella. So that's good. So yeah, so I definitely don't write songs every day. I probably could if I just had the time. Maybe once merchandise is sorted out and artwork, then yeah. But then there's always videos and promos to do.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I mean,
I was teenage kids and Sohodolls, they make you want to cry. Like my superstar, they fall. Some will be alright. Don't you want to? Don't you want to be? Don't you want to? Bang, 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 bang. Don't you want to? Don't you want to? Don't you want to? Bang, 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 bang.
it's a very welcome workload. Don't get me wrong, but the social media thing, I remember for years before Bang 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 went viral, I remember like reading about how to understand social media, and people just kept saying, artists that were successful just kept saying over and over again, you know, it's a way to find your tribe. But to be honest, the way it worked for me is the tribe found us. So it was completely user generated. I had, you know, Sohodolls wasn't active. And then they just discovered, you know, a whole bunch of teenagers in the States mainly discovered an album track. So I'm super grateful for it. But yeah, I would say that that advice is correct. And even though our tribe found us, it's still better these days to launch yourself through social media, because in the old days, back in the day, when I was a kid, there was like this, you'd have bands, there was no like internet. You'd have bands, you'd have press agents, and then you'd have like maybe 6 or 7, you know, printed outlets like that would decide if they were going to back you or not. And if they didn't back you, then you had to go down the live route and just go up and down the country and tour and tour and tour and collect, you know, mailing lists and stuff. So I'd say it's probably easier. There is probably less money to be made for people who are like medium sized. It feels a bit like it's all or nothing kind of thing. Like the mid-size acts, it seems to be either massive acts now or lots of little ones. So I don't know, but at least it's more of a level playing field, I think. And I like that you can have these runaway kind of hits. Like I always like one hit wonders. There's some great songs out there from one hit wonders, and I think social media is good for that kind of wild card factor. Exactly. So when we've been we put out Letter to My Ex first. That's the one that I spent money on a video for. I thought that was going to be like, you know, really like successful. But then the one that I wasn't even as keen on, Bad, the second single, that did way better. And I didn't spend money on a music video. It's like, so in a way, like with the new system, you know, in social media, it's kind of, you just got to release regularly. And, you know, I mean, you probably know this and have heard it from other artists, but the whole concept of an album right now is not really that relevant. So, but I mean, I still like the idea of having an album because I'm from that generation.
Yes.
I need to have an album. But, you know, every song on the album is a single. And Bang, 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 Bang was never a single.
No.
Because we were still in the old model there, you know, you choose 3 or 4 songs from the album. The only reason Bang Bang has a music video is because someone owed me a favor. A director owed me a favor to shoot me a free video. So I said, I'll pick that one. So cool. There's no reason why 12 songs can't all be singles. And it's also less risky because then you're letting your listeners decide what's going to be the hit, because not everyone is, you know, I still don't know which ones are going to do well. Which is nice.
Well, music is subjective, right? It's very, I always, you know, I was in awe because there's so many albums that I've heard, and, you know, I much prefer some of the album tracks to some of the stuff that was released as singles, but I'm like, I'm not
well, there you go.
I've got no idea how to pick it.
Yeah, it's really hard. And it's probably not just like what's the best song. I wonder if it also has something to do with what else is going around at the time, like socially, or, you know, even culturally, or even politically. You never know what could get, or even like comedy wise, what's going to be like the zeitgeist. The Germans have a word for that, don't they? Great. It was amazing. It was the first time that I'd written for anyone, and because she came from like the pop kind of side of pop of music, the music industry, it was quite liberating for me actually, because in Sohodolls and being in the indie kind of like scene, and me liking you know, indie music, I didn't know that when I was writing for myself, I was not letting myself write as pop. So when I started writing for her, it was kind of like a liberation of ideas came out, and I think that's why I think like 7 tracks on the album were penned by myself and my producer, Dimitri Tikovoy. So it was a great unleashing, and it actually made me a better songwriter. And then being in the room with her, I learned some interesting facts, which are quite obvious to like other people, but she'd like play songs that she liked, like by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and I would just be like, oh, you know. And I was like, why do you like it? She's like, it's the feeling, it's the emotion. I was just going, okay, so now I get that. Whereas I think I was approaching music from more of a kind of statement and maybe a bit more of an intellectual, like, I'm going to do better than you type lyrics, conquest kind of thing, and never really let it into my, I don't know. So it definitely made me a better writer. It made me a more confident writer. Whether I'm better or not, let's leave that for the listeners to decide. So yeah. I'm just concentrating on myself at the moment. I've written for quite a few other people, but you've probably seen like people talk about it in the last few years. It's just with streaming, songwriters are just not getting a fair deal. So a lot of them are just they're leaving. Even in the publishing, but it's just not. It used to be like 50-50 on the writing side and the recording side, but now with streaming, I think it's like they only get about 10 or 20% on the writing side, and the rest is all going to the master kind of recording side. So it's there's not really much point. I mean, I've got like there's some people that have asked me to write for them, like household names, and I will when I've got time for it, but only because they're friends, and I just don't want to be a jobbing songwriter anymore. I don't have the time for it, and it's not super rewarding.
No.
And you can't choose what's going to be a single, what isn't. Well, I honestly think there's going to be a single a month now for kind of forever.
Okay.
I'm really kind of been super productive and getting lots of songs finished that are even beyond the album now. So yeah, I'd say the album, I've already got a title for the album, but I'm not going to say what it is. So the album is a thing. September, October. So all the singles that are already out will be on it, plus the 4 that are remaining. Okay, well then I can say what the next single is going to be.
Okay.
It'll be your exclusive.
Yay!
It's Territory of Your Heart. So that'll be the next single.
Nice.
That's coming out end of July. Yeah, it's a nice one. Quite a personal track. And then, I know the August one, we're doing a surprise cover, a big kind of indie goth song that we're covering. Nice. I'm not going to say who yet. And then there's another one. Its initials are RB, coming out in October. So yeah, it's all the ducks are in a row or in a line. A couple, and I've discovered them through like the rare times that I dip into TikTok and Instagram. There's I'm probably late to the party. There's a woman called Karen Dio. She's from Brazil, and she was a viral hit. And she's got a song called I think it's called Sick Ride.
Okay.
Super motherfucking sick ride. It's like really hard rock. She is so cool. So it's Karen Dio, Dio. I urge you to check that out. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, I want it related to Dio.
It's really good.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's an act called Artemas. They've got a big internet hit, which I'm probably late to the party as usual, called I Like the Way You Kiss Me. I'm kind of really into it at the moment. It's it's a little bit, it's like it reminds me of a Sohodolls remix that someone did for Bang Bang. It's like sped up. It's really nice and dark. So I like that. And apparently he's Cypriot and from the UK, which is funny because I was convinced it was like an American girl singing, but it's a guy and he's British. And he's messed around with the tuning on his vocals, which is really cool. And I keep thinking that's what I want to do on the next song.
Yeah.
Make me sound like a man in some verses and then like, a squeaky teenage girl in another one. Just have fun with that. Showed me this program and he copy pasted the lyrics to my song Mayday, or put all the lyrics into it and wrote, make a song that is electro pop, a bit dark with guitars. And it came back with that and someone was singing it within 2 minutes. I mean, everything was there. It was like a finished track.
Wow.
I mean, I still think mine was better, but you can keep trying. It could do me another version. It's quite, it's interesting. At this point, I think it's really good to help if you've got a creative block. I think it's helpful to help you kind of like, oh, you can just say really quickly, give me something that's like 95 BPM with a bit of an old school hip hop synth with some folk guitars on top, and it'll do it for you. So I think it's good at copying and saving you time, but I don't think it can lead yet, and especially if we go back to that zeitgeist thing. I still think, I don't think an AI will ever do the next Smells Like Teen Spirit or the next, whatever. Yeah, but never say never. You just don't know. Maybe they could invent like some AI thing that can like, what's the social temperature right now? What are people really feeling? And make a song about that.
Yeah.
Well, I would say try and kind of accept that you've got to do almost everything yourself. A lot of people, when they start entering the industry and then they get overwhelmed and they email me or text me and they're like, I need a manager. I'm like, you don't need a manager. I don't have one. It's really hard to find a good manager. It's a really horrible job to be a manager of a music artist. It's always your fault if if the act isn't taking off. And then when they do take off, they usually switch management.
Yes.
There's really, so you've got to accept that you've got to be your own business director, your own everything, your own video editor. And sometimes, don't be afraid to kind of learn new skills, especially on recording your vocals yourself and stuff, although you don't have to. And I would say to collaborate with as many people as possible is good. Because you can hone your skills as a writer that way, and it helps keep the creative blocks at bay if you at least regularly have it in your diary that you're going to be working with different people. And you need thick skin, because everyone's got an opinion, and people will let you know when they don't like what you've put out. Sometimes I get messages from people saying, oh, why are you putting out such low quality videos? Why don't you pay for a real music video and stuff? And that really kind of gets to me sometimes, and then I remember how much it is to spend on a music video. So thick skin and be prepared to develop new skills. And I'm really bad on the business side. We went viral like 3 years ago, and I still haven't got my merch shop up and running because I'm not good at it, and I've really lost out with that, but I'm getting it sorted this week, I promise. So I would say if you're new, then really don't just get lost in the creative process, and you've got to spend as much time, they say, understanding how to sell yourself if you want to be able to live off your career. So whether that's doing digital art, if you want a low carbon footprint, or if you going to do tote bags, or I don't know, sell signed lyrics, and just that would be my main advice, is to try and make it sustainable for yourself so that you can keep doing it. Don't expect to make money off streams. Exactly.
No, and if they work out that without songwriters there is no music industry, then maybe we might get a bit more.
Exactly. And also try and own your masters. So but most people probably are, because most of the money comes through on the master side and not like on the writing or publishing side. But even so, don't fully expect to make your money off streams. You've got to find other avenues. Only